and welcome to this episode of Breck Buzz. Joining me today are two of our town council members, Councilwoman Elizabeth Lawrence and our Mayor Pro Tem Mark Breck. Thank you both for being here today.
Good to be here.
I think it'd be great to start off. We obviously had our election this past Tuesday, 2 days ago, and we have some new council members that are going to be joining us later this month. So either one of you want to kind of comment on this past election?
Election was Tuesday. Largest election, I believe, in town history.
Yes.
Yep.
For regular municipal
Correct.
election.
For municipal election, over 1,200 votes.
Yes.
And Mark, tell us who our new mayor and council members are going to be.
Well, yeah, it's going to be exciting. We've got Eric Mamula, who's our new mayor. So he'll be starting, I think, April
26th.
The new members will be sworn in at our April 26th.
26th. So Eric Mamula is the new mayor. We have Wendy Wolf was re-elected for a second term. Mike Dudick has been elected, but actually will be his second time serving on a council. And Jeffrey Bergeron. Again, a person who served on council previously and had taken a hiatus and now re-elected. So we've got a good team going into it. It's going to be an exciting time.
And it was 1,284. I remember 1,284 people voted in this election, which is great turnout. And,
right.
Certainly, from my perspective, I think we're very fortunate that we had a great group of people throwing their hat in the ring that are very passionate about Breckenridge, and that's good, you know. And
right.
Somebody has to lose, but. We had a good group of people.
We would have been lucky with any of the candidates that ran.
I'm just going to say that I think really and truly we couldn't have lost, regardless of who won. Yeah. And, you know, everyone that ran has truly given to this community and is passionate about Breckenridge. And, you know, my hope is that they stay involved and, get involved for those that are not as involved. And, yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. I think we're going to have a good council, and we have to wait, I guess, to officially claim it because of the international ballots.
The ballots will be certified on the 13th, so next Wednesday we'll officially certify the ballots, and it will become official then. But, you know, in light of everything that we see at the national level with politics, it's nice to see. Even though we can debate and we have differences of opinion, I think it remained very positive throughout the process. And I agree with you, Mark. A great group of people, really. And very fortunate to have people that have been involved, and so we'll be able to hit the ground running because we have a lot to do.
Well, that's the exciting part, Rick. I mean, we have so much on our plate that we've already been working on this council that really everyone that's joining our group is experienced.
Yes.
So understands the process, the budgeting, and all those types of things. So that will make it a lot easier.
Well, speaking of what we have going on, maybe we'll kind of delve into that a little bit now. Elizabeth, tell us about at the last council meeting or the meeting before, one of the ones in March, I can't remember. One of the things the council agreed to was allowing the ski area to extend the hours for the summer operation of the gondola.
Yep, we agreed to that. We worked with our Open Space Advisory Committee. They weighed in on it, and we decided the biggest change is that every weekend in September, the gondola will remain open. And what was happening, it was closing that second weekend in September when we traditionally have Oktoberfest. But then last year, we had such nice weather, and it stayed nice throughout the month of September, and we had Film Fest. Well, the gondola was closed then. We had Parade of Homes and all these other things going on in town, and the gondola would be closed. Well, now it will be open those weekends. So September is a busy month in Breckenridge, and I think we'll see a lot of benefit from that from our visitors. And then it's also going to stay open later at night through the week. And I think that's in July, the month of July.
15 minutes earlier in the day.
Yeah.
A little later, 30 minutes or something.
Yeah.
In the evening.
Yeah.
One of the things we know is that, not only is it a nice amenity and people get up there because they get great overlook of that, but it's a people mover. And when people are riding the gondola, they're not in their car adding to the congestion.
Absolutely.
On the roadway.
Yeah, well, the original intent when the gondola was built was to have it operating much later into the evening, earlier in the day to get people out of the cars. So, I think it may be only a matter of time where, we may see it running till 10 o'clock in the evening. And I quite frankly hope we do. It gets
Right.
people off the mountain into the town. It relieves the congestion. And I think it's also adds some, activity at that part of town. So it's
And to let
exciting.
people know, we are being very thoughtful about this as far as the environmental impact, and we're going to continue to study that and see what that will be. So far, things in Cucumber Gulch are just getting better and better. And so we feel like this is an appropriate time to move forward with some longer hours.
Yeah. So for months, we've been talking with our listeners about our parking and transportation plan, and it's we're constantly working on that. We're working with the consultants, and just this week, 2 days ago, we had a 2-hour conference call with our transportation experts out of California. So progress is continuing to be made, and we have another milestone coming up. Mark, maybe you'd like to tell us a little bit about what getting the community back involved again later in April. There's an opportunity.
Yeah, and I think more than one, but one of the greatest things about this process has been the amount of community that have been involved right from the beginning with the Parking and Transit Committee as well as the forums. But the second round of community forums will be actually happening on April 25th. I believe at 7:30 a.m. and 5:30 p.m.
5 p.m.
5 p.m. At the Breckenridge Grand Vacations Community Center. So anybody who has attended the other ones knows that it's just a great place to get a lot of information about what's happening. I think there may even be some recommendations at this point or observations as to what way we might go about the next steps. But so, really anybody who has had any concerns about parking or is interested should please make sure you go there. And that's why we do both times. So people before work can get a chance to see the presentation and then after work. And I guess it will be light refreshments served, I'm guessing.
What the community can expect is that as they work through this process, they're looking at lots of options and scenarios, and each one of these has pros and cons and different things. And what they'll be doing is rolling out some different options, like potentially different locations where a structure might be. If you had it on the F lot, what would it look like? What would the impacts be versus if you had it here? Some of the pros and cons related. Again, they're not to make recommendations yet at this time, but it's a perfect opportunity for community input, and that's really why we're doing this. And I think, Elizabeth, you attended the first ones we did too.
I did. I went to both the morning and evening one, and I really appreciated what good listeners they were and how they really also prompted people to think about things in different ways and kind of get some feedback from that. And we're not only going to have some big ideas that we might implement, but we're also going to see a lot of little ideas that we can implement here very soon. And I expect to hear those here at this next meeting. So
yeah, you will, and they will continue along that same path.
Yep.
Because in my recent conversations, we're starting to see more of where if you do this, you could expect a 1.5 to 3% reduction in vehicle miles and vehicle trips on their roadway, and they're starting to lay out what that walkability pedestrian flow, north-south, east-west grid system could look like on the different streets, and where we may want to target those higher pedestrian areas to get people out of their cars.
And some of our transit routes too, they brought up some really good points when they had the last forum. And so I think we'll expect to hear some recommendations on that as well. Yeah. So I've been riding the bus ever since I went to that. I've been trying 1 day a week to do it, but I've been doing it more. Ryan did it this morning. It's really worked out well in our family because it comes in our neighborhood. So it's a nice thing. And I'm starting to realize if we go to some outlying areas, maybe more people will do it.
Yeah.
But our bus has been really full lately on the purple route.
You know, I'm hoping as Elizabeth kind of alluded to, that there will be some low-hanging fruits that this council can embrace
Absolutely.
quickly.
Yes.
I know it's a master plan, and I know the organization that's been doing this process really wants us to stay away from that a little bit. But there's going to be some debate, no doubt about it, with our community, with our own council. So I am hoping for some of those low-hanging fruits that we can change, you know, quickly and easily without a lot of money, and that just makes sense. So I'm looking forward to it as well.
Yeah. Again, reminding everyone, that's Monday, April 25th, at the Breckenridge Grand Vacations Community Center in the lower community rooms at 7:30 a.m. And then they'll repeat that same presentation with the community at 5 p.m. So you have 2 opportunities on that day. And if you can't make it, again, we'll try to make some information available to people. We'll update you in this show on what to do, and there's a third opportunity, I believe, into May, first part of June again.
Right.
And so there's a 3-step process for engaging the community here. So we hope to see you on the 25th. So next, Elizabeth, I'd like to talk about childcare, and maybe specifically that council has been spending some time and discussion on relative to Breckenridge Montessori School. And you know, the council has done a lot and continues to do a lot. Childcare is something that's one of our tenets, and it's a goal, and we invest a lot in childcare in the community. And we've been working with Breck Montessori because where they're currently located, that building and area was going to be redeveloped.
Yes, so that building had recently gone through our planning process and now has entitlements attached to it where there could be residential attached to the back. That's a popular spot because it has that two-way traffic through there, the access off the alley and on Main Street, and that's at 318 North Main. And Breck Montessori had come to the town because they were going to lose their lease on that property where they had been for the last 7 years. And so that was going to be over 20 families in Breckenridge that would no longer have childcare available to them if Breck Montessori had to close. And so the council looked at it, and we ended up deciding to enter into a contract to purchase that property to allow Breck Montessori to stay there for the next few years. And they will lease from us. We will be their landlord while they're going to look for a permanent solution. And that might be, we already have in our plans, we know we'll need another child care center somewhere in Breckenridge. We just don't know when that will be. And so this time we'll allow Breck Montessori to stay open, continue to provide child care to about 20 families, and then give us a chance to figure out where our next center needs to be and what size center that needs to be and what our needs are there.
And I think the discussion the council had was not only are we serving a need and keeping this center running in the town, but it's a good investment as land banking, which is something that we do. And down the road, we may have a purpose for that property that's different, or flip it ourselves for another developer.
Good point, Rick. And I think that's very important for our community to understand that. You know, I don't want to speak for all the council, but very clearly, I think we came down on the side of this was not a long-term decision for Montessori School. That there may be a long-term decision. Elizabeth talked about where the next center could maybe have a wing for Montessori children. Who knows what it could be? But, you know, for me personally, it had to, stand the light of day to our community if we're going to spend that kind of money. And there was no doubt in my mind that was a historic building right on our main street. It was a very wise investment to land bank. Who knows what we're going to need on Main Street someday. But I think we were also very honest and upfront with the Montessori people who were at the meeting that it was a 5-year lease, that the intention was that they would look for a more permanent home, and we would look with them. We would try to see what our future needs are. As Elizabeth said, talking about what our future needs are for childcare, early childhood education. But it was a win-win for everyone. We had the ability to do it. We're certainly not making interest by keeping our money in the bank. and yet the value of this piece of property with the entitlements is going to be significant over time. But you always run the risk. You always run the risk of doing it, where then after, when 5 years comes up, people are going to say, it's got to stay Montessori. I think it's important that our community understands what the rationale of the decision was. But it's an exciting time. Their feet were on the fire. Their lease, I think, was up this summer.
It was.
So they had to make a choice. And I John Warner, who's no longer our mayor, really owned this one. And what I mean by owned it, he cared. I mean, he personally went around looking for other property. For instance, he talked to the churches that perhaps they could house there. So they didn't really have a lot of options. We even looked at other properties as well. But this, when it came to land banking and the investment, it made a lot of sense.
Yeah. Mark, we've talked with our listeners before about this transition that we were making with our liquor authority, but adding the regulation and licensing of marijuana, and that became official April 1st of this year. Talk a little bit about that process and why we went that route.
Well, I think one of the reasons why we went that route is because we had a system in place. We have a liquor licensing authority that has been in existence for years, works effectively and efficiently, and we thought, right now with the minimal amount of marijuana shops we have in town, that to create another board, or quite frankly, and it was in the hands of the town manager. And I think there were several of us who felt that it ought to be independent. There ought to be a group of people making decisions, because mostly when a liquor licensing authority is really involved, not only do they approve licenses, but they do the hearings when there's been a violation. And so to have one person, which is what it currently was, it was our town manager was basically making that decision. It kind of takes it out of one person's control, puts it in front of a group. Now, we did have a healthy debate about what that magic number should be on the authority, but again, by adding the fact that we were only adding a few more businesses, and unless it gets out of control, doesn't seem like it's going to with this council at least. But it was a group of individuals who are selected by council, who are in fact trained. They have now gone through a training. They've actually went on a site visit for a marijuana grow operation. So I think it's going to work. It certainly gives more of an independent feel for those marijuana shops that may get a violation, that they're not just going in front of one man or one woman, that they're actually being heard by a group of people in the community.
Well, years ago.
Not that we don't trust you, Rick, now that you're the town manager.
I'm good with that, because I remember years ago when the council heard all of the liquor
Right.
license violations and had to hold hearings, and we've been in for probably 10 years in having this authority, and it's a much cleaner, much better system. It allows town council to spend their time and energy concentrating on other important matters, and then you develop a group of experts to deal with that. So I think it's a wise move.
I do
It's
too.
going to work out for us. Elizabeth, 2 weeks ago, we were at the grand opening of the satellite office for FERC, and
Yes.
that's exciting for Breckenridge.
Very exciting for Breckenridge. And so how that came to be is the old DA office on Airport Road.
The district attorney's office.
Yes, the district attorney's office. So they needed more space. So kind of worked when the library then moved into the community center. They remodeled the library and added on there. So that would be the district attorney's office, and probation for the county. So the county had this property available to sell on Airport Road, and they were able to sell it to FERC, which is the Family and Intercultural Resource Center, which here in Summit County, that is our large health and human service nonprofit that really provides a lot of social services and help to local families here around the county. But they really had found over the past few years that their Breckenridge clientele was growing, and so they decided to purchase this building building and do a capital campaign. And so the town of Breckenridge, we proudly supported it, along with some other community partners. And they had their grand opening here on March 23rd. It was a great event. They're going to be able to offer classes there. They have health insurance enrollment there, which currently they had been doing out of the community center. And so now they'll have a dedicated office to that. And it really works to serve a lot of families over here.
And just down the road is their
Thrift store.
their thrift.
Right?
Drop
Across
off.
the street, diagonal, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
great. It is exciting, and it was the facility, the office space was wonderful.
Yeah.
We're lucky to have them in our community, and talk about a public-private partnership with the donors coming from the private industry, the county having the land or the building, the town being able to contribute financially. It's a win-win. They do great things, and to have them in our backyard, I think is a great win.
We're lucky.
We're lucky.
Yeah. And the county with that building really, they really stepped up
They
to
sure
Summit
did.
County government on that. So it's great. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about some of our capital projects that we have going on, because some of these we're going to see getting completed here in the next couple of months. And Mark, if you could start with the Breck Theater, because that's going to about 2 months from now, that should be ready to open.
Yeah, I went through on a tour, and it is magnificent. I mean,
Nice.
it's exciting. It's the former Backstage Theater, now the Breck Theater. It's on budget, on time. Well, on one of the budgets that we've approved. The last budget. We made a decision to do it right and do it once and do it right. So we made sure everything's in there. But it's got the real theater seating. It's got a common area for social activities and gathering space. It feeds right into the arts district. It's really a special place, and it will be opening the end of this summer, I believe.
No, actually,
June.
in June.
June?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
June.
Okay.
They're going to
We'll
open
be
up with Chicago.
Oh, that's
in
right.
there.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So no, that's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
I
It's
can't
close.
wait to look.
Yeah,
I think we get a
waiting till
tour.
it's done,
Well, I think
almost,
we're
so.
going to get a tour maybe middle of May, but
Yeah.
I'm anxious to see it. And that's just going to be another piece that really keeps Ridge Street going, right?
Yeah.
In the summer. And last summer Ridge Street was so busy whenever things were going on in the Arts District, and it was such a nice and vibrant place to be. And I think just really adds something special to it.
We have one guy's view, but when we've talked about when we move forward on the Arts District quicker, sooner than later, we have two anchors really, and we have the Riverwalk Center and the theater. And if we had really not done that theater, there was talk at one time about combining it with another theater organization. As Elizabeth said, that really those are crown jewels now on two ends of our Arts District that are really exciting to see.
Well, and speaking of the Riverwalk Center, the council did approve a budget to hire a consultant to come in, and we know we've been talking about a lobby a long time. And I'm looking at you because
It's my pet project.
I think you're tired of walking outside.
Bathrooms.
Yeah, well, I'm a frequent user of the Riverwalk Center. I'm going to an event there tonight. Next Wednesday, I'm going to the Lucinda Williams concert there. I have season tickets for BMF. I mean, it's just something I really care about. And I think our Riverwalk Center is such a nice asset to the town, but we could use it year round more if we did have some updates to it, include that lobby, redo the lobby, have a bigger bar, bathrooms inside, etc. And as Breck Create continues to grow and we continue to have more year-round programming there, I think it's something that needs to be done. We really need to get a handle on the pricing of it, and so we're doing it now with the consultants, and this will also really tie in with some parking things that we're looking at as well, because if we extend the lobby, we could lose about 12 parking spaces out front. So we really want to be cognizant as we're doing that. So hopefully this summer, midsummer, we're going to get the price tag on that. I know I'm anxious to find out.
And I don't think we should be surprised at all. It's going to be a significant number. But I'll tell you, it is the guest experience. I mean, we have, and everything happens in phases. At the time, the tent was nice, and then they put the roof on, and it was a real community effort, and everybody donated. But Breckenridge is better than that. Breckenridge is better than having to go outside to use restrooms in the middle of winter or even in the summer.
I agree. And, you know, there was a comedian there, I think 2 weeks ago. That show I heard was sold out, and it was packed, a snowy night, right?
Yeah,
and so
right.
would have been great to have that.
And, you know, we've made a commitment to Breck Creates. I mean, we've got Rob Wolf on staff. We've got now a new nonprofit managing our facilities. So we've made a statement to our community, and there's an expectation that comes with that. And again, it's going to have to be a give and take depending upon the price. But I'm for one that's really in favor of doing it and finally doing it right. Getting it done.
Well, and that's the purpose why we're looking at that, so we'll know approximately, because I think that's what the council's going to be talking about over the next few months, and looking at what are those priority projects that we want to start looking at for 2017. The other thing that we're studying with consultants right now, and we've been talking about it for a good year now, is our recreation center. And it's a great facility. It's still a good facility, but there's still some need for some additional programming space and some updating of some of that. And so we have people looking at that
we've
also.
Outgrown it, you know, and in many ways it's packed in there, and it's really one of our town assets. I mean, visitors go to the rec center, not just our locals, and so we're just looking at the best way to maximize our space and what we're going to do there. And it needs to last for the next 20 years when we take something on, so figure that out.
Yeah, and there's so many different users and meeting all of the different user needs. And I think we've seen, you know, we're continuing to see fitness evolve and much more a different type of training with people, and it's not just.
Don't be looking at me, Breck.
I mean, it's not, you know, it's no longer.
Mark and I are the most avid users, if you can tell.
It's no longer just going in and lifting some weights anymore.
No, that's true.
Lots of very class-oriented types of
Yes, the classes are popular, and there needs to be more studio space to have more classes.
You know where the rub comes and the risk for any council is that no matter what issues we talk about, it's near and dear to somebody.
Right.
But at the end of the day, there's only so many dollars that we have to spend, and I think we've done it wisely. We've done projects and steps where if we couldn't do it all at once. But I think the rec center, the Riverwalk Center, the time has come. It's just a matter of what magnitude we're going to be able to afford to do, or even really need to do. I mean, there's differences between needs and wants, and so I think that's where we're going to have tough decisions as a council, because you talk to people who want the rec center, and you've got the tennis users, and you've just got so many different audiences that have their feelings, and then you have another group that will tell you the Riverwalk Center should be a top priority. So it will be interesting debate.
And I think it's our job to bring that information, and you bring options, and not everything has to be the Cadillac model. And sometimes there's ways to phase these things in, that's all the stuff that we're studying over the summer, spring and summer, to early summer, to bring to the council. And speaking of recreation, the council for this year made a decision to put a roof over the outdoor ice rink. And that is the design of that is moving right along, and we expect to see work begin probably later this summer. It's not going to be a real difficult build. It'll be it's more of the design and the engineering to cover the kind of prefab.
It'll be up and going before we need it next season.
We're told, right? That's right.
Around by the 1st of November.
Yeah.
And that really allows us to do a lot of extra programming, because you can count on that space where you couldn't before. So.
That was almost a no-brainer for this council. I mean, when we saw the numbers of people that use it and what it would do to extend the use of that facility, it was kind of a no-brainer.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that hockey rink gets used. I don't think people realize that there's games going on at 10:30 p.m. at night, and things. I mean, people are using it. The outdoor rink will definitely be used. When it's a snowy night, people will be out there with the covered roof. They'll be able to. Exactly.
We were joking about restrooms a minute ago out there, but it's a fact of life. You need restrooms, and when you have the number of visitors that we have in the town, oftentimes they are looking for restrooms, and that's still one of the jobs we do: is where can we have more restroom facilities in town? we made a decision about that, didn't we?
That we did. So I've been advocating for some restrooms on the north end of town for a while now. And we'd originally looked at putting some up near Carter Park, but we decided against that mostly, or sorry, not Carter Park, excuse me, the Carter Museum. Sorry, that is between, the Ridge Street alley right there and North Main where the new Prospector Park is. And originally we had decided against that because it would maybe take away the historic designation of the Carter Museum, and we wanted to research that a little bit more. But it came to be that a very historic cabin from the late 1800s from the French Gulch area that has since been, for about the past 30 years, has been up on Baldy, what's known as the Winsell Cabin, is now going to belong to the town of Breckenridge, and we are going to put restrooms in there. So the cabin, we're going to move from Baldy, take it down Boreas Pass Road. We'll let you all know that will be a sight to see, right? Bring this cabin down and place it on the Carter Museum property.
And have new restrooms.
And build ADA restrooms in there. So it'll be great. So we know that's needed in town. Prospector Park has been so popular.
Even today when I came
Even
by.
today. But what's amazed me is on a snowy day, there's still people hanging out in there. That park has been really popular. So it will connect from North Main through the park and then right there on the Carter Museum property.
And hopefully it will bring more people to the museum because it will have directionals to the restrooms. They'll see the museum, and it will take a big strain off the businesses in that area.
Yes, I know that Locals Market right there Lincoln Mall, Alpine Bank has been dealing with it for years.
Yeah.
People coming into those businesses just use the restroom, and it'll be nice to just have that up there. So.
And that's been an issue. I mean, right now we have the Welcome Center, which is not even near there. But it's the biggest use of the Welcome Center is restrooms.
Right.
And a lot of people, if you look at the surveys, were kind of upset because they had to find one and it was that far away.
Right.
So that
and North Main has
deserves
continued to get more popular. And so as that area really grows, this will be a great use. But really the best part of this, we're preserving a cabin from the 1800s. I believe Robin Theobald said there's only 2 cabins like that left. And so we're going to get to preserve this and have it right in town for people to see.
I'm hoping that it's very clear, though, that they are restrooms. Because we could preserve the cabin. I mentioned that at council, but it's going to be very clear for our community visitors that they understand those are restrooms.
Yes, and I think the signage will absolutely make sure that happens.
That's
it's
right,
just
wayfinding.
You're having to use the restroom in an 1800
That's
cabin.
right, that's right.
Late 1800s.
It will look like an old structure, but the inside will be new and modern.
Yes,
restrooms.
it will not
Much
be an
like the
outhouse.
outfit.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
I think we have a good model to work off of in doing that, so it'll be nice. Yeah. Mark, we're coming to kind of an exciting time with some of our new housing, and we've been talking with our viewers for the past year of our different housing projects we're working on. A month or so ago, the council toured the Pinewood 2 housing complex. It's right across from the rec center on Airport Road. And now they are starting to take applications for that.
Yeah, and for those of you who have not seen it, it is really top of the line housing.
We want to move in, right?
Listen, I might. It is rental housing, which is what we have found is our real need here. They're all 1-bedroom or efficiencies, or studios, I guess they're called. Studios.
Big studios.
Yeah, big. And really nicely done. There's a bus stop right out in front. And there will be a process that will be taking place, and I don't want to profess to have all the facts now because I know we debated a few things as we've gone. But basically, it's going online. Is it May 1st?
It is online now. It's on the website.
But they're not making any. They're just taking and qualifying people.
Applications, I think, through mid-May.
Mid-May, and they'll be qualifying people. And then there has been some debate about lottery based upon that, based on the numbers. So, stay tuned. You're going to hear more about that. But I will tell you this: anybody who, because you hear in a small town like this, even though it's not accurate, people always say it's who's in the know will get a place first. It is online. Go online, apply. Believe me, it's going to be a fair process. This council made sure of it. So it's exciting, but go on it's through the town website.
Well, it has its own website, Pinewood Village 2. II is actually how they did the two. But if you go to the front page of townofbreckenridge.com website, you will see a link to Pinewood Village 2 application process. And that will take you right there. There's different links on that site to explain the income requirements, the minimum, maximum income. It's important to remind people that these are federal dollars and that are low-income housing tax credits, and so it's not our traditional workforce housing. They have to be open to most people that are within those income brackets, but it is for a lower, lower than 60% AMI, those people that maybe aren't making quite as much as some of our service workers in town. It's a great opportunity, but the most important thing to do is get on there, because you have to do the pre-qualification in order to be eligible for the lottery draw that will occur around mid-May. And there's 45 units, so
they will fill.
Oh, they will fill fast.
They will fill.
I know multiple people that are trying to get in, but they're just so nice, and what a great location. And you can take the bus, and you're near the rec center and city market, but the inside is wonderful, and they're very energy efficient, and it's a home run for us. I'm really proud of this project.
Elizabeth, that's a great point. We don't celebrate the successes. During this campaign, you hear people saying we could be more creative on financing.
Right.
Let me tell you, this is an example of government at work.
Right.
Truly getting a project done with public-private partnership. I think it saved the town $3.5 million the way this was financed.
yes, it did.
Yeah.
So that's $3.5 million that was not paid for out of the town coffers. We're at least allowed to stay into our housing fund.
Right.
I'm proud of that.
And this was done in a really short amount of time, if you think about it. We took a tour in July of 2014 to look at some other housing places. We decided after we got back from that, so really it was August of 14, we decided to start looking into this. Now we're going to have people moved in there in less than 2 years. I mean, that's wonderful, and it's so nice, and really what I feel is an important part of our workforce. 60% AMI right now is about $36,000 a year that someone can make, and that is a lot of people. I mean, it
Or
really
as low as about 24 on the bottom end.
Correct on the bottom end. But we have many people that work here that make in that $30,000 a year range that would qualify for this, and that I consider a really essential part of our workforce.
Absolutely.
And very few opportunities for those people to, the rate, they're still looking, but it's in that, depending on whether you're a studio or one, but in the $800 range,
Right.
from the low to the high eight.
Right.
That's pretty remarkable. With it's very green, very low utility rents in there. So, it's exciting. And for those of you that are wondering, it's for targeting July 1 move-in, but they realize not everyone can move in. So the people that are drawn in the lottery will be able to move in through July through August for that first go-around. And then obviously long-term leases, so they have to be long-term leases.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I kind of piggybacked on Elizabeth when she said it was a home run. We should say that we make the decisions, but the staff really do the work. And
Absolutely.
Lori Best and the rest of the team just have hit this one out of the park.
Yeah.
And we have some
we've got
great
other good ones.
partners, and I think it's important to note that the builders on this are all local. And I hear people all the time telling me they've been working on this project and things, and so I think there's a lot of pride put into this, and I'm glad that we partnered with some good local groups to make this happen.
And we'll be breaking ground on 2 more projects in the next 2 months. So
Right.
It's amazing.
it's great. We're learning a lot. We have 3 projects in the works, and we have even a larger tax credit project that we're currently preparing to apply for in May. That could be as high as $9 million back to the town on a 60-unit project. So
I've been on council 6 years. It's the first council that ever got more than one project going at the same time, which is a compliment to the council that is just leaving.
Yep.
And I think that's really kudos.
yeah, great opportunity. So. As we start to wind down this session of Breck Buzz, we've had some changes in our upper management, and I'm proud and happy to say as a new town manager that started January 1st, but it did leave a vacancy in our assistant town manager position. And, we did a national search. We had over about 100 people apply for that. And, we weeded that down and looked for those people with experiences and qualifications and went through some phone interview process. I came with 6 finalists and ended up interviewing 5 of those. A week or so ago, we made an announcement on a new assistant town manager, and I'm proud to say it's our current chief of police, Shannon Haynes, who will be the assistant town manager effective in about a week from now. But Shannon has, I'm sure many of you are familiar with her because she has been out there leading the charge on a lot of stuff that's engaging the community, specifically the parking and transportation. That's a big part of that role, and I think community engagement is important to us, and her leadership with all of the town departments is going to be important. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I'm excited. It was an open, inclusive process. What I'm most excited about, Shannon earned this position and deserved it. But what's really exciting for me is to understand that our town develops talent the way they have. Now, Rick, you're an example of, there's 2 trains of thought, and whether you go on a national search or you look within house and see if you have the talent you have. And so often organizations go out of house just to show transparency, if you will. And yet our processes have had transparency, just we were very fortunate to have the talent in-house that had developed to deserve these positions as you did. But, Shannon has done so much more than, probably any other chief of police would. I mean, she has headed up this parking and transit task force, which is really a big job. In fact, I often wondered whether she had any time left for worrying about the police department. But Shannon is a sharp young woman. She came here from Connecticut. I remember, I think I was actually on the interviewing process. I was on the police advisory committee at the time, and she rose to the top then, she rose to the top now. So my congratulations to Shannon, to her family. She's got a family that loves living here. We know she's not going to be leaving us. And so I'm excited for her. I really am.
And that created an opening in the police department, but we're fortunate to have an assistant chief there that's certainly worthy of being our chief.
Yes, so our assistant chief, Dennis McLaughlin, who has been with us since November of 14,
about a year and a half.
Yeah, about a year and a half. So he's been here, came from Texas, though originally he had been in Colorado before that. So Dennis is now going to be our chief. He is a wonderful person, and I really hope everyone can have an opportunity to meet him. Dennis and I clicked as soon as we met and get together for coffee every so often. And he really has the town's best interests at heart, and such a good leader, and someone that I think is just going to do a fabulous job. And, one thing about Shannon is we know that her staff loves her currently, and her coworkers in the town of Breck. And so I have no doubt that as she starts this new role, what a good job she'll do leading the staff. And that is such a huge part of it. Shannon is one of those behind the scenes workers that does so much, and people really respect her for that, and I think with her and Dennis, it's just a great transition, and congrats to you for having a great staff. And I know as a council, we feel very fortunate to have them both.
Yeah. Nobody has opportunity unless they are willing to hire people who are better than they are. And the reality is that, I think the reason why Shannon was able to move up is because she had talent beneath her that could fill in for her in a minute. And Rick, same goes for you. My hope is that at some point when you're down the road, a few years.
Hopefully not for a long time.
But I hope we hired the person who could also fill those shoes, because that's what great leadership is about, is hiring people who are better than you so that they always have opportunity, and so that other people have opportunity as well.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. We have not everybody clicks, that moves here,
right.
and it's a different environment. But we're very fortunate to have a strong staff, and it's been, and you guys are continuing on with the new group, and it's
Yeah.
exciting to continue to move
It's going to be a
forward.
lot of new people. I mean, really.
But they're
Yeah.
all people
Also,
we've
half of
worked
them-
with,
yeah.
so it's great, and I look forward to that. And thank you both very much for being here today. And I want to
Thank
thank you, our viewers, for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you on our next episode of Breck Buzz. Thank you.